Right, cheers, thank you. Yep, so I'm Catherine Fielding, Development Officer at Goalball UK. I hide behind that job title, it's nice and generic, so I always say it gets me into things I want to do and gets me out of things I don't want to do. So we're just going to do kind of a quick overview of, what is Goalball, who is Goalball UK, who are Goalball UK. We're a bit of a secret sport, but we don't want to be a secret sport. So if nothing else, it's just about raising awareness today. If we get some activity going in colleges, we get some students volunteering in our events and clubs, fantastic. But if you go away from this just knowing what goalball is, that's a win for us. Also on the call today, we've got Dan, who's the new boy. He's recently joined us, so he's here to listen in, I think, as much as anything. But if we've got any questions that I don't fancy answering, I'll deflect them his way and put him on the spot. So what is goalball? The ultimate question. So we're a Paralympic sport for blind and partially sighted people. Crucially, below Paralympic level, anybody can play. So that's where we fit into, the kind of the inclusive sport environment. But sticking with goalball at the Paralympic level, international level, everyone wears eye shades so no one can see. The ball is audible, so the players track it by sound rather than sight. And the court is tactile, so the players orientate by touch rather than sight. So it's very, very unique in that respect. The game is a lot older than what people realise. So goalball began as a rehab exercise in 1946. So after the Second World War, a lot of veterans had been blinded through gas attacks. That was kind of a common method of attack back then. Whereas more recently, we've got a lot of people who have had amputations as a result of IEDs, things like that. Back then, a lot of our veterans, as I said, were blinded. So it started off simply as a rehabilitation exercise, evolved into a game, evolved into a formal sport. We've been in the Paralympics since 1976, but because we don't have that Olympic equivalent, a lot of people don't know who we are. There's only ourselves and boccia that are unique within the Paralympic and not in the Olympics. So there's currently 99 men's teams playing competitively around the world and 61 women's teams. So, there is depth to the sport that people are not aware of. From a GB perspective, so obviously that's the pinnacle, but it is the top of the pyramid. We've got a lot going on below that. But from a GB point of view, our men are currently 27th in the world out of 99, and our women are 14th out of 61. So fair to say we're not, the best in the world, but equally we're pretty good at this sport. At the last European Championships, the men finished 7th out of 10, and the women finished 4th out of 10. On that front, within Europe, there are 3 leagues, A, B, C. So both our men and women play in the top league, the European A Championships, which is an achievement in itself. Because if we move on to what happened in Paris in September last year, unfortunately, GB didn't qualify, but it's exceptionally hard to qualify of the way that it works in terms of regional weightings. They say regional, by that we mean continent. So to get out of Europe and to qualify as the European country for the Paralympics is incredibly hard. So a bit like if you take the men's football World Cup, where you might have Costa Rica competing, but then you've got the likes of maybe what you perceive to be a bit of a European superpower in, I know, the Netherlands or Portugal, or someone sat at home. That's what happens in goalball. That global weighting means it is very hard for you to qualify outside of Europe. If we look in particular at the gold medals and silver medals in the women's Paralympic competition, Turkey and Israel finished 1st and 2nd respectively in the European A Championships, where GB finished 4th. They narrowly lost the bronze medal game then to Greece. If they'd won that game, then who knows, we might have been in Paris. But these things happen, and now the focus is moving on to LA. So bringing it back kind of closer to home, Goalball UK, we're the national governing body. So we look after all aspects of the sport, from top to bottom, from left to right, from inside to outside. We're a relatively new governing body in that we've only been in existence since 2010. So prior to that, we came under the umbrella of British Blind Sport, who are a national disability sports organisation. So we still have strong links with them, but we are in our own right, as I said, a national governing body. We just have a staff team of 10, a core staff team of 10 based at the EIS in Sheffield. But as the name suggests, we are UK wide. We receive core funding from Sport England and also UK Sport, but then we are a registered charity. We're working with blind and partially sighted people, so ultimately we are more than a sport, and a lot of what we do is about what happens off court, not just on court. Giving you a snapshot of this season, so the 24-25 season, we've got 20 affiliated clubs that are playing competitively. It doesn't sound a lot, but obviously we do have a small kind of catchment of people with sight loss, because a lot of it is age related, so it impacts people later in life. We then have an underbelly of kind of recreational teams and sessions and schools, things like that. Goalball is unique in that you don't come into the sport and play in a gender defined league or an age defined league. You get such a cross section of court of different people, different ages, different backgrounds. You may have someone who is 35 playing alongside someone who is 12, but the person who is 35 may have only lost their sight 2 or 3 years ago compared to the 12-year-old who may have been blind since birth. So as I said, it's a real mixture of people. Domestically, we play mixed teams, so male and female. Internationally, it's separated out into GB men and GB women. Within our competition, we have 3 levels of play. So regional, which is entry level, then you progress to intermediate, and then the Super League, which is where you'll find all our GB and talent players playing for their respective clubs. So the competition structure, which is what Dan is in charge of, it's split into 6 separate leagues at the 3 levels. So at regional level, we have A, B and C, which is roughly North, Midlands, South. Intermediate, which is North and South, and then the Super League, which is one national competition. We then have 3 standalone cup competitions every season. So there are opportunities, hopefully local to where people are, to get involved in goalball, be it in a club or be it in a competition. Club development, so this is hopefully where our kind of call to action starts. How can you get involved? So with our existing clubs, it may be that you can help signpost players. It may be that you can help us, recruit and train workforce. It may be that you can provide venue, and who knows, you may even have some funding. That would be nice, but I'm guessing it's probably unlikely because everyone's fighting for money in this world. We link in with sight loss organisations and charities and the sensory support teams, but then what we define as key stakeholders in the local community. So that's where FE colleges we would link in with. Workforce development. So if you have got people that are interested in getting involved in the sport, we deliver 3 courses in person. So a club leaders, a school leaders, which is an adapted version of the sport, and then the referees course. And then we also have some online courses. So we've recently launched with UK Coaching and British Blind Sport a bolt-on goalball module to their Coaching Blind and Partially Sighted People course. Without wanting to plug other sports, there's also a bolt-on for blind football, tennis and swimming, I believe, but obviously goalball's the best one. So. And then we have the Introduction to Officiating course, which is just the starting point if people want to get involved in the game. We are, like any sport, heavily dependent on volunteers. Goalball is not a sport you can self-officiate. Everyone's wearing eye shades, no one can see, so you can argue all day long about whether a ball was in or out, but no one will ever know the real reason. So we really do need to have that sighted workforce helping out in clubs and at tournaments. We've also got a schools programme, so we will go into schools. Most blind and partially sighted children are in mainstream schools, so they're often very isolated. Our experience is that the standard of PE, if they have any, isn't particularly good. So we find that taking goalball in really improves the quality, because the teachers and the students and their sighted peers, they learn kind of transferable skills about how to make other sports more inclusive. I'm completely biased, but goalball is a really good, fun sport to play. Kind of saying that as a sighted person. If you like playing sport, I think you'll like playing goalball. There is a video that's embedded here, but I'll save that for you to watch in your own time at some point. That's just showing how we adapt the sport in a primary school setting, when obviously you might have a postage stamp of a size space to play with, and you might have 30 people. So that's just how it can be adapted. The actual benefits of goalball. So like any sport, it's the physical benefits. Crucially though for us, it improves mobility and confidence. We develop teamwork skills and communication skills. So these kind of skills that often blind and partially sighted people don't have a natural opportunity to develop and utilise within Goalball. We do. We're removing the typical barriers to participating in sport and providing a positive experience. The interaction with other people with visual impairment is very powerful as well. Often people feel very isolated. They've never come across someone else in their school or in their community with visual impairment. So Goalball brings everyone together. And it's also a good visual awareness tool for sighted family and friends. They can get an idea of what it's like to face some of the daily challenges of living with a visual impairment. So volunteering opportunities, we call them activators rather than just volunteers. So there's opportunities within clubs, be it on court or off court. So by on court, we mean, you could be physically helping to deliver a coaching session, helping out with officiating, or it may be something like, guide dog sitting during a game, or meeting people at a local train station and helping them find the venue. There's then all the committee-based roles as well. So all our clubs are independently constituted. So we need to have, the chair, the treasurer, the social media person, the secretary. So there's lots of roles available there. At competitions, we need lots of people, as I already mentioned, to help actually officiate the games. But again, there's roles linked to that, be it results runners or just helping teams, just be a team manager sitting on a bench helping, things that you often take for granted as a sighted person. So, between a game, going to fill up a water bottle can be a bit more challenging if you're visually impaired and you can't see where the water fountain is. So lots of roles like that. Likewise at our training camps and at school sessions and festivals. So that is kind of a bit about Goalball UK and some of the roles involved. In terms of the sport itself, there is a video that I was going to show you, but I have a fear that if I press play, everything will go a little bit pear-shaped. So I'll leave that for you to watch in your own time. But the sport itself, it's 3-a-side indoors, played on a volleyball court. So if anyone has got a facility at their college that they're happy to share, please let Dan and I know, because we're always looking for venues for clubs, for tournaments, for training sessions, for GB camps, etc. So yeah, the volleyball court, so 18 metres by 9. What's really crucial is that we are a little bit antisocial. Because we're playing with an audible ball, we don't like any background noise. So it needs to be a single sports hall. If you've got a facility with 2 or more sports halls, but in separate kind of rooms, and that's perfect for us. Anything side by side becomes a bit of an issue because we get that noise pollution. So the court is tactile. Everything is marked out with string and tape, and that's something we do on a session by session basis or competition by competition basis. So string and tape is put onto the floor to create a giant tactile map, and the players navigate by touch. The game is then non-invasive, so in teams of 3, the ball travels backwards and forwards. You're not allowed into the opposition's half. Essentially, you're trying to score a goal by rolling the ball. I say rolling, male Paralympians throw a 1.25 kilogram goal ball at about 50 miles per hour towards the opposition's goal, and the goal is the full 9 metre width of the court. So all 3 players have a responsibility to defend that goal behind them, but equally all 3 players have the opportunity to attack the goal in front. So it's a fast, furious, great fun game. We find it's really good for team building as well. As soon as you put a pair of eye shades on, it really makes you think about communication skills and working together. So it could be that your interest is in just developing almost like a bit of an icebreaker at the start of the academic year, or doing some team building exercises, or it could be, as I said earlier, that you're happy to host a tournament, or you can signpost volunteers. So that is a stop the clock, really quick overview of Goalball. If anyone's got any questions, just fire away.